Hello everyone, this is Ashmita and today I'll be discussing Article 12 with you guys. Part 3 of the Constitution of India provides fundamental rights guaranteed to the citizens of India and in some cases the non-citizens. So Article 12 is the first article in Part 3 of the Constitution. So what is so distinct about Article 12? The distinctiveness lies in the reason that Article 12 defines state, and all the articles from 13 onwards in Part 3 are only enforceable against the state. So if any private entity or individual infringes your fundamental rights, you cannot go to the court for its enforcement. However, if the state infringes your fundamental rights, you can go to the court for the enforcement of it. Right. So to understand Article 12, you will see that Article 12 can be divided into 4 parts. That is, Government and Parliament of India, Government and the State Legislature of each state, the local authorities and other authorities. So the first two distinctions, that is Government and Parliament of India and Government and State Legislature of each state, are very well defined and there is not much scope of interpretation or ambiguity in its definition. However, the terms local authority or other authority is not defined anywhere in the Constitution, and still now it doesn't have any definite definition. So there is a lot of scope of ambiguity and interpretation while understanding these two terms. So there have been a lot of judicial decisions to interpret what is local authority or what constitutes other authority. For local authority, I'll be discussing the case of Union of India versus R.C. Jain. In this case, the court laid down 5 principles to understand what is local authority. These include separate legal existence of entity or corporation, function in a definite area, the entity has to have a power of raising funds, it should enjoy autonomy, and it should be established under any statute. So if you find these 5 points fulfilled by any entity, you can consider it to be a local authority. The next thing is other authority. There have been a plethora of judgments in deciding what is other authority and what is not other authority. One of the first judgments is University of Madras versus Shantabai. In this case, the court emphasized on the sovereign function and stated that if a university, if and only if it is maintained by the state, can you go to the court for enforcement of your fundamental rights against it. If a private university, however, infringes your fundamental rights, you cannot go to the court for its enforcement. The next case I would like to discuss is Rajasthan State Electricity Board versus Mohanlal. In this case, however, the court took a different view. The court held that you don't have to have a sovereign function for understanding whether an entity is other authority and be brought under the ambit of state or not. Even if the entity is performing some quasi-governmental function, then also you can tell that it comes under the ambit of state. One of the most important cases in understanding what is state is the case of Ajay Hasia versus Khalid Mujib. In this case, the court laid down 6 points to identify whether any entity comes under other authority and then in the ambit of state or not. These points will be visible in your screen. So, from these points, we can understand that Indian Railways can be called other authority and can be brought under the ambit of state because the entire share capital of the corporation is held by the government. There is financial assistance from the state. The corporation enjoys monopoly, although there have been talk about privatization, it still hasn't yet happened, and Indian Railways is the only railways in the country, so it enjoys the monopoly. There is an existence of deep and pervasive state control. The functions are of public importance. So Indian Railways can be considered to be a state, right? So another important point to notice while understanding Article 12 is whether judiciary constitutes a state or not. So for example, one day judiciary makes a rule that is infringing your fundamental right. Can you go to the courts for its enforcement or can you not go to the courts for its enforcement is a question to be looked into. So to understand this, there have been a number of cases we can look into, right? The first case I would like to discuss is Prem Chand Garg versus Excise Commissioner. In this case, the court held that while exercising judicial control or judicial function, the court cannot be said to be a state entity. However, if the judiciary or the courts make any rule or perform any quasi-legislative functions, then we can go to the courts for infringement of our fundamental rights, because that can be considered to be a state action, and then the judiciary will be considered a state. So for non-judicial functions, the judiciary is considered a state. However, for judicial functions, judiciary cannot be considered a state. So why is it so? Why cannot we consider judiciary a state for judicial functions? So for example, I go to the court and the court gives some decision, and I think I don't like the decision. So what I do is I reapproach the court telling that you have infringed my fundamental rights. So if this was the situation, then it would go forever and this would be an endless loop, right? So to prevent frivolous litigation, judicial decision or judicial order cannot be constituted as a state order, right? So this was held in the case of Naresh versus State of Maharashtra, where the court stated that if we consider judicial function as a state function, then there will be a lot of frivolous litigation. That is it for today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like, share and comment, and do subscribe to this channel. Thank you.